For my final project in environmental science, I wanted to try and incorporate my future area of studies with environmental issues. Next year, I'm going to Marist College as a Spanish major. I want to expose myself to as much Spanish culture as possible, including the environmental aspects. I wanted to gain a better understanding of the environmental conditions in Spanish-speaking countries and compare it with the issues facing the United States.
Of course, the first country that comes to mind when discussing Spanish language and culture is Spain. Although Spain can be a mountainous territory, it is also home to richness and biodiversity. According to research, Spain is a habitat with over 8,000 plant species. Forests account for around 30% of the territory. Although these do not always correspond to native species, these statistics were a little surprising.
Throughout my college years, I plan to study abroad, and when I think of areas to visit, urban areas such as Madrid and Barcelona generally come to mind. Areas with such lush biodiversity are interesting to associate with Spain. Spain's environmental conservation policy was launched many years ago, and it has been considerably enhanced in recent years. According to La Sociedad Estatal para la Gestión de la Innovación y Tecnologías Turísticas, or the Society for the Management of Innovation and Technology Tourism, one of the fundamental pillars of this government policy has been protection, by means of initiatives such as national parks, nature reserves, and game reserves.
However, most of these competencies have now been transferred to the autonomous regions, who have now enacted a range of different protection models. Like the United States, Spain is also a country concerned with protection and conservation of the environment. The most important threats to the environment are deforestation, forest fires, erosion, desertification, and contamination of river water. Both agriculture and tourism, which also affects the state environmental conservation, are today strictly regulated in order to allow these sectors to prosper and grow without affecting the environment.
In addition to Europe, the majority of Spanish-speaking countries are located in Central and South America. I wanted to focus my attention on Paraguay, the country where I was born, and learn about the environmental policies and conditions.
Paraguay has more than 18 million hectares of tropical forest, very little which could be classified as true rainforest. As of 1990, about 10% of the forest cover was considered primary forest. In the 1990s, the Paraguayan government initiated a media campaign to make its citizens more aware of the country's environmental issues, but the efforts have not affected the country's overall deforestation rate, which has actually increased 9% since the close of the 1990s. Currently, Paraguay loses an average of 178,600 hectares of forest per year, largely due to subsistence farming and land clearing of cattle pasture.
Unlike the United States, Paraguay is also an undeveloped nation, and poor infrastructure has hindered efforts to develop the country's potential timber resources. The value of industrial roundwood harvested in 2005 was only about $253 million. Paraguay is also a nation concerned with the conservation and protection of the environment, especially in today's world where sustainability is a universal goal. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, less than 4% of Paraguay is protected on paper. The country has some 1,884 species of amphibians, birds, mammals, and reptiles, of which 1.5% are endemic and 3.7% are threatened. Paraguay is home to at least 7,851 species of vascular plants. Okay, so far we looked at the environmental conditions of a European and South American country. All that remains is a nation in Central America. I chose to research Guatemala because my brother was born there, and it provides yet another insight into the environmental aspects of a Hispanic country.
According to the government-sponsored site of the U.S. Aid for the American People, concentrated specifically in Latin America and the Caribbean, Guatemala has a wealth of natural resources that are both ecologically and economically important. The country contains the largest area of cloud forest and wetlands and the highest population of large cats in Central America. As an important point of convergence of species migrating from both North and South America, Guatemala plays a vital role in the conservation of many migratory bird species from the United States.
Guatemala is a nation committed to protecting the environment and conserving vital resources. USAID Guatemala's Environment Program, located within the Office of Enterprise, Trade, and Environment, supports environmentally sound management of natural resources in priority areas of high biodiversity, including the Mayo Biosphere Reservation in Pitan, the Monte Guapolochic System, which includes the Sierra de las Minas Biosphere Reserve, and the Atitlan Volcanoes Bioregion. The program aims towards providing sustainable income generation alternatives to people living in and around protective areas. Activities include efforts to establish certified timber production, encourage tourism, and promote environmentally sound production practices. Clearly, the United States and Spanish countries all share the same universal concern of sustainability and conservation of resources.
It is important to stay informed of the environmental conditions all over the world and to recognize the importance of our natural world.